We've got breaking news out of the NFL. Giant star receiver Malik Nabers will miss the rest of the season with a torn ACL. That's per multiple reports. He suffered that injury during the second quarter of Sunday's game against Los Angeles and had to be carted off the field. It's a brutal blow for the former first-round pick who leads the Giants in all major receiving categories over the past 2 seasons. His production is something that we've become accustomed to since he entered into the league. And this year, from a fantasy perspective, this is what he was putting up for you. About 14 points per game in PPR leagues, 2 total TDs, and maybe things were looking up and trending upwards with the emergence of Jaxson Dart as a starter in New York. We now bring in our fantasy expert, Heath Cummings, to help break down this side of the story with the Nabers ACL tear. And Heath, first, I'm just going to ask you this. If you have Malik Nabers, which I do on my roster, what do you do next to try to find that production somewhere else?
Well, when you're done crying, because you're not going to find that production anywhere else, you're going to have to get a little bit creative. The truth is, you're not going to go to the waiver wire, especially at the wide receiver position, and go find a guy who we're going to rank top 12 every week. So you may want to look and see, do you have a little bit of running back depth? There've only been a couple of good tight ends. Do you happen to have a couple of good tight ends, or maybe a backup quarterback that you can include with one of your other wide receivers to try to upgrade that position? But really, the truth of fantasy football is when you lose your first round pick, or maybe your early second round pick in week 4 for the season, there's just no replacing that. It's time to start scrambling, getting creative, getting aggressive on the waiver wire, making your team better wherever you can.
Do you have any names immediately that you think you would target? And I'm asking for the people. I'm also asking for myself with pen here, ready to write it down, whatever you might say to us.
Yeah, I think there are a couple of guys out there. Romeo Doubs had the 3-touchdown game last night. He's just rostered in 58% of CBS leagues. For the Giants specifically, Wan'Dale Robinson available in about a third of leagues. Darius Slayton available in almost all leagues. Now, those guys are all probably boom-bust number 3 wide receivers. The one thing you might be able to do, especially if you've gotten off to a fast start and you just lost Nabers, if you have a good record, is go see if there's something on your bench or maybe a combination of players that you could trade for Rashee Rice, who will be back in 3 weeks. Brandon Ayuk's another guy who maybe later in the season could help you a little bit. See if you could trade for him. See if maybe somebody's scared off by Chris Godwin's bad performance in his first game back. He still had a 25% target share. That might be a guy who could give you high-end production later in the year.
So I'm looking up and typing Jaxson Dart here in the CBS Sports app to see how available he is. He's rostered in 49% of the leagues right now, started in 7%. So for those that do happen to have Jaxson Dart, are you now out on bringing him out there every week as your starter?
Yeah, and I wasn't really in even with Malik Nabers, like a rookie quarterback, and we saw what Brian Daboll did in this game. Like even early on, it was a very, very conservative offensive approach. He is going to do some things with his legs, Dart, so I think that will make him more valuable in leagues that only reward 4 points per pass touchdown. But in 6 point per pass touchdown leagues, he's probably a borderline starter in leagues where you start two quarterbacks, not somebody you're going to want to start in 1 quarterback leagues without Malik Nabers.
10 carries for him yesterday for 54 yards in that rushing touchdown that we just showed right there. Overall, this offense, is this maybe good news if you have Cam Skattebo, given the injury that you might think they now need to run the ball even more?
I think that is probably the biggest takeaway, because we saw in this game where the Giants, one of the rare cases where they were playing with the lead, 25 rush attempts for Skattebo. The week before, when Tyrone Tracy went down, they were playing from behind, 8 targets for Cam Skattebo. This is going to be a run-centric offense. Had 42 rush attempts yesterday, just 27 dropbacks. I do think Cam Skattebo probably a high-end RB2 until Tracy comes back, and then we'll see what that split is like when Tracy's back, but it's probably a starter the rest of the year. Cam Skattebo, the big winner.
In my league that I have Malik Nabers, I also have Cam Skattebo, so I can at least take a little bit of solace there moving forward to try to get this team right and figured out. Heath Cummings, thank you so much for the fantasy angle, always covered from beginning to the end, looking at the future of Malik Nabers and the Giants no longer having his services. Fantasy Football Today is where you can find even more of Heath. Watch now, scan the QR code, get the help you need to get a winning team every single week.